Several.
Yeah.
Small.
Oh, wow.
The Windows 10 will.
No. 64. Okay, you're ready to go.
We're live. I'd like to bring the Poughkeepsie Joint Water Board meeting of February 3rd, 2025 to order. The first. We good?
Yeah, we're good. It's just got rid of that comment.
First item, business public participation. Anybody from the public like to speak? There you go.
Okay, let's see, I just had a comment, but Randy had discussed it before the meeting that, we can't go in 6 minutes, say that, Rebecca Edwards is the vice chair, and I believe it was Barb Blair. And
I also think that Megan Deichler wasn't absent. She has resigned, so
I didn't know if that was official, but.
I think she resigned at the end of December, but and is no longer eligible to serve, so.
And then,
Still absent, but
number
I think she's
three,
still listed.
for the agenda item for today, it says report on the 2020 and 2021 audits. And at last month's meeting, Brian Martinez had said the report was going to be on the 2022 and 2023 audits. So I'm not exactly certain which audits, but I guess we'll be finding out. Okay, that's it. Thank you.
You're welcome. The next point of business is to approve the minutes amended with correcting the vice chair. Correction showing Megan is no longer in the district.
I think I missed this before I got here, but is there a city representative, a new city representative? Do you know?
None has been, none have officially been appointed yet. It's an appointment by the mayor.
And Rebecca.
But I'd like to welcome Joe Vita, who is going to replace Brian Martinez upon retiring. So Joe's going to come up to speed. We will probably be dealing with him an awful lot, like we did with Brian with all the financials. So he's an important cog to our operation. Do I have a motion to approve the minutes as amended?
Make motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Everything's 4-0 today. Well, if we all vote together, it's 4-0.
We did.
Pass 4-0. Next point of business is report on the audits, and that will be the 22-23 audits, I believe.
Alan Walder was supposed to be online to do that. I don't know, it seems potentially somewhere. Or is
I think
it the right thing?
he should have gotten the right thing.
They wanted to go first.
And that was supposed to be for 21 and 22?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's 21.
Says 20.
Actually, I think it's supposed to be the 22 and 23 audits.
Yeah.
That's what.
And hi, everybody. I'm Jen George, and I am a consultant for the city, helping them in their accounting group. And Brian had asked me to join. I was actually physically there with you last year, in case there were any questions after Alan did the presentation. But since he's not here, I don't know that there's any purpose for me being here.
Oh,
Maybe he'll show up in a little bit.
And I
okay.
can tell you that the AFR for joint water for 2024 is in process. It should be filed by the deadline, which is April 30th.
Should we leave that until near the end and see if Brian's here and we can return to it?
Yeah, do we want to make Jennifer wait around till Alan hops on, or are we going to let Jennifer off the hook? I take a motion, we let Jennifer off the hook and see what Alan has to say if he shows up. Yeah.
Okay, if there's any big questions, Joe, you have my number. You can call me and I'll get back on the line.
Thank you. Enjoy.
Thank you.
Yep. Bye.
It was kind of mumbled. Aye.
Yeah, no, you got past 4-0 to let Jennifer off the hook?
Yes.
That's the official term, off the hook. Okay. Plant status report, Randy.
Things have been going well. The weather and all that good stuff. It's interesting this year, our demand's been a lot higher. You can see that last month, We went down a little bit, but we're still seeing a lot more water going this year.
The Hudson Valley Electric, are they done?
Yeah, but there being a problem because we have a change order.
But
And
the work's done.
the work's done.
Okay.
They came back at the end of the progress and they came in with a $47,000 worth of change orders. And now that we're trying to get it, make sure we have it documented, but rather than submitting them as we went, they didn't do that. Wasn't expecting that. That's what he did. The rest of the report, if anyone has questions.
No, the work is done. That's the important part. You guys can negotiate whatever it is.
Right.
Okay. Do we have the field trip for the filter? We do have the filter in the future, so we'll get to that when we get to it.
Yep.
No, we got some nice pictures from the field trip.
Absolutely. Operating budget status, Randy.
We're just starting out the year, so it's a good time. It always looks good in the beginning. Until you put in all your POs and then it looks like everything's gone. But we're starting to get POs and dollar chemicals in there. Last year, we were considerably over on electric, and this year we got $1 million budget for electric. So I'm glad for that. We still have in our budget $70,000.
Yeah, way too early to be discussing budget, but we'll get there eventually.
Yep.
The flow study status, and we had an email from Erin. She couldn't make it today. But she just didn't, just had a couple of questions on how the
Right.
use versus the population didn't really jive, and we really don't have an answer for that. So
There's two things going forward that I wanted to ask about. So in Randy's report, you noted that I think it's Ty and Bond that we asked to do just a basic investigation of why is demand increasing. And then Aaron has written and suggested that there be a broader comprehensive planning process that we put out for an RFP. And so I just wanted to talk about which of those things happened, what are the relationship between the two? We urgently and obviously need to understand why demand is rising. That seems like it's it's hard to do anything else until we know what's going on. And have an understanding of that, but then she is recommending a comprehensive planning process with an RFP, right?
as well as designing with the higher numbers versus the lower numbers. So make sure
Exactly.
that we use the
Right.
numbers we're not sure are right, but at
Right.
least they're higher than.
Yeah,
Right.
Right.
her recommendation, I agreed with, I spoke with her the other day, is that, obviously our flows are gonna go up over the next amount of years, so you gotta start figuring out the where, the when, and the how of what's the transition to plant, whether it's a new plant, it's multiple additions, or whatever it has to do to make it come to that level at some point in time. And that takes a long time to do. So us starting that process now, little by little, you're putting all these puzzle pieces together. So in 5, 6, 7 years, you actually have a solid plan of what we're gonna do.
Well, Tom, maybe you can help with this, but my concern is that, that definitely, I agree on all those points, but why do we think demand is increasing so steadily and sharply? And do we have some kind of major failures in, we've got some pretty old pipes. Are we finding larger and larger leaks? Or all the forecasts are for population. We haven't had huge population growth. So it seems like we need to understand what's happening with the increased demand before we know where the most urgent investments are. If we have massive, pipe failure and leakage or things of that sort, then I don't know.
I think right now that our population and our demand is way under tallied.
Yeah.
Like people are coming in that aren't counted, and people are using our system that aren't counted. The weekenders, the Airbnbs, those people aren't counted because both of us are on, we're not losing that much water. We're losing the same amount that we've been losing steadily. We're on a pretty good straight path.
But we're billing for that.
No,
Right.
well, not for the water you lose, no.
No.
The water you lose is unbilled water.
We know how much we're losing.
But if it's whether a house is being rented full time or whether it's being as an Airbnb,
Well, you got,
you're still billing for the
no,
water.
because you got garages that are apartments now. That's not an increase in population, but that's now two structures getting water versus one.
Or
Well,
the, or
we
the
are-
same structure using more
One
water.
water.
But we are measuring and billing for that water.
Correct.
Right.
Right. This isn't unbilled water. This is known.
Right.
Our use is going like this.
Okay, so. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah. Our use is definitely going up with no other factors.
And does the use of the billing match, like it rectifies, like that steep curve matches what you see?
We don't have last year's,
Uh-huh,
but before that,
it matched, it
Yeah.
balanced, it balanced.
yes, we're not losing.
so we're looking at a sharp increase in billed water, not an increase in drawing on the plant that isn't getting billed.
Well, we sat down, me and Randy earlier this month or last month, and we had the whole 10 years of what we took for town, city and everything. Had the whole thing laid right out
Jeez.
of what our water usage were for town, city and third party customers. And it was a steady increase on stuff, right, Randy? When
Yeah, that's 16.
Can we see that? I think the board,
2 months ago.
oh, it's the same numbers?
Yeah, I haven't changed it. Because we did it 2 meetings ago, because I wanted to look at that. And what it does, it shows what the city did and what the town did over the last 10 years. And in 2016, the city just jumped up. And it just stayed up to almost $1 billion, more than.
Yeah, it's not coming down and we're doing our same maintenance, same repairs, same,
And
And
is
we're
it
getting
happening in
better.
both the city and the town, or much more in the city than in the town?
More in the city.
Okay,
so those numbers just say we need to improve our plan. We got to get it bigger. So we need to use the big numbers versus the small numbers.
if Ty and Bond is looking into this, are they able to drill down more into those numbers? So we see
Right, and that's what,
and that's why I think
residential is.
and that's what her
Right.
recommendation was.
And like, it's hard to separate, like on our end, it's hard to separate residential and commercial on our, like, I don't even know how it's all by account. Like, so I don't even know how I'd separate it out to figure out what's a commercial demand, what a residential demand is. That's there's no different water rates for commercial. There's no,
Well,
none of that
It
stuff.
would
So
just
it's
be
all,
volume, you could.
Right,
you
we're not
could do
showing
on a
loss.
Spreadsheet.
We're not showing money loss, we're showing increased volume.
Yeah, but you could measure those volumes if you just pulled them apart on a spreadsheet, right? Because
You would have
11,000 accounts.
Yeah,
no, the accounts
I'd like
aren't,
people to help
the
with that.
accounts aren't
Yeah.
marked like with a different.
we're set
number.
up like that. We're set up like that.
We're not.
Oh.
You guys are not.
We're not set up in
That's a
commercial and
really
residential.
important problem that we need to solve. We have to be able to tell.
We
what
could
the
just
difference
put
between
a
commercial. and-
R in front of the residential accounts.
Yeah, I'm sure like maybe with our upgrades we're doing to our billing systems, stuff like that, we'll
Yeah,
have some
maybe.
more leverage and
Yeah,
stuff.
we should
But
think
like
about it when we.
right
enter
now,
that
we're
stuff
so, it's one of my ideas for stuff.
That's
But
a
right
great
now,
idea.
it's like you can't, it's just,
Right.
That's what
In
I'm-
the city, you can separate commercial and residential, and what do you?
which,
see?
Kind of.
Brian had the,
what's his name sent that over the other day with
Yeah.
the residential and unresidential. I'm like, how did he get these?
Well, that was a little bit of a trick. I
Yeah,
had to figure out if this account is at this property. I have to cross-reference it against what our property tax software says
yeah.
and what
Yes.
property code it has. So the
Okay.
200 number, I know it's a residential, not it's commercial. But that required cross-referencing two databases against each other. It
Oh,
never
my
happened.
God.
Oh, too bad you guys didn't set up your billing numbers, your account numbers.
That would have been
with,
good.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
in hindsight.
and that's,
In
well, that's
hindsight,
the
yeah.
next step of.
Yes,
Sure.
the billing system, one of the things always evolves, and when it doesn't
Yeah.
evolve for a long time,
Yeah.
then it's gonna make a big catch up, and hopefully with our big catch up, we'll be in better
Well,
shape.
if we're doing that new water billing system.
Yeah.
Maybe we can, I'll retire from teaching and go. numbers. Put it on for residential.
Well, we should talk to Jennifer about.
It should be
what
here.
We have a database in which we have, we do have codes on everything, whether it's commercial, residential,
Mhm.
or whatever.
Oh, so that would be.
Institutional, I don't know. For all I know, every student at Marist College is starting to take 24-hour showers. I have no idea,
Right,
right?
right.
We need to, but we need to kind of know which is which,
We
right?
have the meters for Marist, and they don't show anything that they increase that much.
Yeah, they're all master meter.
So
Yep.
that, because we do have a bunch of master meters, and that's what we did. So we showed the master meter from Home Depot, which has all the growth that's been up here, right across the road. And that didn't even show that much. And then we looked at Marist, they weren't showing too much. It's just the
So you
city.
can see the usage on it from Hudson Heritage as that came online more and more, but like, you can see the great, what it is, But other than that, like all the main meter, like everything like that is kind of consistently just rising at a Yeah, I'm sure if we break it down, you get a percentage of what it is, for every year.
And not for nothing, but we're, putting new meters in every day. So our system's getting better and better. So we could have been lagging with our, our estimated, and now it's just getting better and better, more accurate, and it's showing.
So there's not actually necessarily a huge increase in use. You're just able to measure and bill for it.
Could be, that could be true.
Okay.
Could be.
But somebody's using.
It's not-
Because the water's coming out of the plant.
Right. It's not right. It's right. It's not like
Significant increase since November for just January. I mean, January is a lot higher than December was. And it's like 600,000 gallons a day.
What is
Crazy.
going
And then
on?
they do like the Shats is gonna be redone, that place there. And I forget,
But it's not.
they were a
And
big
you
chunk
don't
of
have
water a
sense of where
day. You
that's
put that by a year, you're like, well, there's a few million gallons right there, like 9 million more,
Don't ask
something like
me
that.
this shit.
we would see 600,000 coming out of the ground. Like
Oh, yeah.
that's, we would know.
Right,
Yeah.
You'd know. It's not, we're not losing it. It's just being used.
right. But
We don't know
we
why.
need to know where and how and why. All right, so Ty and Bond is looking into that. We can talk with Erin about it next month. And she's also proposed a long-term plan.
Yeah, what she's proposed is a facility plan that would investigate what we should do.
Mhm.
And because this plant, the last time we upgraded this plant, the engineer said that the most we'll ever get out of this plant is 19.3. The city wanted, the town wanted 21, but that's when we left it as 19.3. There may be things we can do, but what we're looking at is we have a lot of pipes that are restrictions. And it might be that's the major problem, but we gotta get the water from that pump station over down the river up to here. And then it's gotta come out of here and go to the town in the city.
Wait, so it wasn't that the town wanted to make renovations at the plant so that it would get 21. They just wanted to declare it 21 rather than 19 as the max?
They wanted 50-50. That was the plan. And the city said, I want 10.3.
Okay, so
So
they,
that made 20.6. It ended up being 21.
right. And that was simply what they wanted to state as the
That was their
capacity.
goal. That was their goal,
right.
50-50.
Okay.
And when it came out, it was 45-55, which has been a more complex because of that, how things are getting done. But that's where it is. But what the issue is that if you look at the B&L report, it's showing by 2032, we're gonna not have enough capacity.
Right. But that, it could be sooner than that.
Yeah, well. the
What's
thing-
worrisome is this sudden uptrend recently.
and so
That's,
the-
if it keeps going like this, it's gonna be a lot earlier than 2032.
Concern is that it's probably gonna take a year to get a study going and then probably a year to maybe a year for the study to be complete. And then it's gonna be a year for the design, probably more. I mean, we're looking at a lot of years that.
And if you have to purchase land, if you don't have the space here to do it. So if you have to, get land and move your facility up farther or different, location, it's just time.
The point is we gotta start now.
The thing is.
But we're comfortably,
we need to- we need to- I strongly recommend we make plans to move forward.
Yeah,
Agreed.
for sure.
I agree.
Just trying to figure out, we could go out for an RFQ. Request for qualifications to put out a proposal and then get some ideas. I don't know where we're gonna get the money, that's the thing. It's gonna be, I think that study itself will be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Wow.
I don't think it's gonna be a $40,000 design.
Yeah, the time alone would be.
Yeah,
Well, and
is that something we'd be eligible for a
should do
grant
it in-
for?
we should do it in stages, right?
yeah.
But
But to do the study, would that be something we'd probably be eligible for a grant? Because I know what we did when we did a feasibility study for a new tank. And we got it through the county because the county and the town. Went after a grant and we did that for the one thing for replacing the 44 tank. So I would see how a feasibility study for that would definitely be something that we would get. Possibly we get a grant for.
oh, yeah. Could we talk with Erin about her recommendation about what the stages of this are? I would hate us to wait around a long time and try to get grant money before we start at all.
Oh, I agree.
But I also think that we should I also think that your idea is really good, Tommy, and we should look at whether, if we're looking at a kind of initial survey of potential options.
Yep.
Then we should be definitely looking at potential money for the design phase and figuring out where grants might be available. And planning ahead on that piece.
Okay, you want to go back to the audit report?
Before we go there, do we want to wait and talk with Aaron about this at the next meeting? And get Ty and Bond's recommendations about steps and putting together an RFP? Or do we want to do anything before that?
Is it possible that we could just email Erin and see, does she have an idea about the stages of it? Or is the only stage at this point an RFP, RFQ?
When she gets back from the conference, we could do a little more email in the meantime. Talk about,
Is she,
I think it'd be good to have her here. We can go through the whole the
Yeah.
process of how it would be breakdown.
Yeah, we got
So if
But-
we had to start a process before, like, what's the first step, second step, third,
Yeah,
like, you know,
right.
what, and we could see what we could financially be able to accomplish this year and not be able to do.
why don't I email her?
okay,
I'll email her and say, hey, we're thinking, since you weren't here at this meeting.
Yeah.
That we would like to see, so that we don't put her on the spot and
and we should
March.
block off some time at the March meeting to talk about this
Yeah,
in some,
I'll
in some detail,
email Erin.
or make a plan.
Maybe start the March meeting a little earlier or something.
And when you write her, Barb, could you ask her if she could identify potential grant sources
Sure.
for the design, at least for the design phase?
Come on, Bubby, we got Zoom.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So we will have
That's it, why run your marathon?
our next meeting, which will identify the steps we need to take to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
We should ask, if we could ask her for the time it takes for each step and the budget for that, each step.
Yeah, sort of.
Yeah, rough numbers, so you know, because
But I mean.
obviously, like, there was no budgeting for that this year.
I mean,
Not
even,
here for
right.
that.
Yeah, is it
Right.
$1, 1,000, or 1,000,000?
Yeah.
Right. Maybe she could do a range, right?
Yeah, right.
In the range of,
Yeah.
the first stage would cost between
But she's done
25 and
similar
40 or something
before,
like
so I
that. So we
think
have some rough idea what we're looking at. Yep,
They've done this stuff before. So
Exactly.
She probably can say, well, for this time, we did this amount.
yep, I would think so.
So I think that, okay.
We good? Go back to the audit reports. Alan,
Yes, hi, good afternoon.
how are you?
I am well. How is everybody?
Very good. We eagerly await your report.
All right, let me share my screen. The host has disabled screen sharing?
We're working on it.
Okay. Just to introduce myself to everyone, my name's Alan Walther. I'm a partner with the Bonadio Group. We have completed the audits for 2022 and 2023 for the joint water project.
So will you try now, see if you can share?
Try host tools.
Okay,
Uh,
got it. I think I'm all set now.
Great.
Awesome. So we have completed our audits for December 31st, 2022 and December 31st, 2023. We issued the reports to the water project several weeks ago. And the good news is now the water project audits are caught up, right? So the next audit that we'll do is for 2024. So you'll be caught up current this year. So the scope of the services that we perform for the water project is to audit. Our primary objective is to audit the financial statements of the water project for the years 2022 and 2023. In conjunction with that, we also issue a report on internal control and compliance in accordance with government audit standards, and we issue a required communication letter that we issue every time that we perform an audit. High level summary was that we issued an unmodified opinion on each year's financial statements for the water project, which is the highest level of assurance that we can give on the financial statements. We did have an internal control finding for 2022, predominantly related to just the lateness of the audit. But as I said previously, the audits are now caught up, and in 2024, we would not expect to have that comment in the future. And then, a big thank you to the finance office, Karen and Steve and Brian, for all their assistance in helping us get through the audit. And audit is a collaborative effort, and we cannot audit what is not provided to us by the finance personnel. So thank you very much. Our required communications During 2022, the water project was required to implement GASB Statement 87, which pertains to leases. GASB is the Governmental Accounting Standards Board, which is the rule-setting body that all governments need to follow. So we considered that the water project does have a handful of leases. We did consider those leases, and we determined that they were immaterial to the financial statements as a whole. There are some significant estimates that affect the financial statements. The significant estimates are depreciation, which is based upon the useful lives of the assets that the water project has. Other post-employment benefits is an actuarial estimate of the amount that the water project will owe. Other post-employment benefits, predominantly health insurance for its employees and its retirees. And then finally, pension. There are pension liabilities and deferred inflows and deferred outflows that flows through from the water project's participation in the New York State pension plans. Our role as your auditors with regard to the estimates is to consider whether they are reasonable in relationship to the financial statements as a whole, and we did that, and we believe that they are. The audit was delayed, again, because supporting documentation was not ready. However, they are now, as I said, 2022 and 23 are done. We are caught up, and finally, no disagreements with management. The financial statements, which we'll look at. So there's three financial statements that the water project issues: statement of net position, which is basically the snapshot of your financial position as of December 31st; a statement of revenue, expenditures, and changes in fund balance, that's your operating results for the year; and then a statement of cash flows, which is shows the sources and uses of cash during the year. So the highlights of your statement of net position, and hopefully you can see these. And I'll just talk about 2023 since that's the most current. Your current assets were approximately $675,000. That is receivables from other governments predominantly. Your non-current assets was about $35 million. That is in excess of $30 million of equipment, the water plant. And then there's the due to from the city and the town that is in there as well. And then deferred outflows of $927,000 flow through from your other post-employment benefits plan and your participation in the New York State's pension plan. Your current liabilities of $1.2 million are predominantly accounts payable and accrued liabilities. Your non-current liabilities of $7.2 million are predominantly pension liabilities, other post-employment liabilities, and then long-term due to the city and the town. And then deferred inflows, again, flow through from the water project's participation in the state pension plan and other post-employment benefits plan. So the accounting formula here is your total assets and deferred liabilities minus your total liabilities and deferred inflows, bring you to your net position. And the water project had a net position of a little more than $27 million as of the end of the year. Your statement of revenue, expenses, and change in net position. For 2023, your operating revenue was approximately $5.9 million. Your operating expenses were about $8.1 million. So you had an operating loss of, approximately $2.2 million. You'll note that has increased $1 million over the previous year. And that was because in 2023, a big chunk of capital additions were put online and depreciation went up approximately $1 million. Non-operating income was $375. That was interest income. And then capital contributions was $325,000. So you had a change in net position of $183,000 deficit for the year. And then your final statement, cash flow. the cash flow is really due to from the city. So the joint water project shows no cash at the end of the year, but the operations for the year used $1.6 million of cash, and capital related inflows were 1.6 million, plus the 375 to get you to the net change in cash of 0. And then the internal control finding, again, this was a 2022 finding that the audits were just very late, that we're issuing them late. However, the audit cycle is now caught up. As I said, we issued 2023. The next audit will be for 2024. So the audits will be caught up for December 31st, 2024. That is the extent of my comments, unless there's any questions from the board members.
Questions for me?
I would like to open up public participation again. Doreen, any questions?
Thank you, but no, not at the moment.
Very good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye.
Thanks for getting back on, Jennifer.
You saved the day.
Okay. Next item of business is the filter under drain replacement.
I think Jennifer was going to speak. She's muted.
I just wanted to know last year after Alan's presentation, you guys had some follow-up questions. So just checking to make sure you guys are good. There's no other questions.
Yep.
For now, I think we're good.
We're good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Try again.
Okay, next item of business, filter under drain replacement.
So they had the tour, inspection at Lake Gilliard, and that went well. I think we know what we're doing now as far as design, so it's just moving on. We just want to-
Cool. Very good.
Field trips are always good.
Yep. At least you know you're not by yourself. Yeah, somebody else has the same problem we got.
Yeah.
A lot of people have a problem with that, right? That somebody's filters were not really up to
Like the
par.
filters that were in Reno that I used to operate at the same problem.
Oh my God.
You've been around, Randy. You've been around. Any old business?
I just wanted to go back to the January minutes.
Okay.
When Doreen was saying that it was difficult to find out differences between the city and the joint water board website. Do we have anybody who's updating the website? Are we
Yes.
working on that?
Yes.
That's you, Donnie?
So yeah, so I've been updating the website, what the issue is we are nested underneath the city's website because we don't have our own, but
Mhm.
that will be changing. Actually in a couple of weeks, we will be getting our own separated version. So we'll still be underneath the city, but it's gonna be separated. It's like a I can't remember what they call it.
Your own URL?
Yeah, well, we already have our own URL, and that's part of the problem. We had our own URL and then they kind of tucked it underneath the city of Poughkeepsie, cityofpoughkeepsie.com.
Oh, so it's nested inside.
Nested in it. It got very confusing. So now they're gonna basically take it out. And we'll still be using the Civic Plus web
Platform.
platform, but we'll have our own. We have to control it a lot better. We'll have our own setup. We'll design it a lot more. So if there is anybody that has any suggestions on what they'd like to see, I have some things that I want to put on there, but we'll be updating it.
Do you have the people power to just keep up with it? It's a lot. Keeping a website is another whole job.
So the one good thing, I don't want to say good thing, but because we are the water plan and we're not necessarily worried about a lot of the other things that a municipality has to worry about updating and keeping the public informed of, it does make it a little bit easier. So the idea is that we'll be able to, just update for our meetings and when we have, new reports that we want to issue.
as soon as we have a URL, can you let us know? Because it's been weird because it's all on the city's website and from the town, there's nothing there. So it would be nice to make sure we
Yeah.
link to.
That's one of the things I'd like to make sure that we link to. I also want to have like an FAQ where, you know, if you have questions about your water or your bill, because we field a lot of those questions sometimes as well. So
Right.
when you Google Poughkeepsie Water, like we come up automatically, not the distribution systems of each.
Yeah, we come up for the city
municipality.
first. They always call us first.
Yeah.
I say, what road are you on?
Yeah, exactly. too. Like, no.
What we've done though, that ain't the problem, is we're hiring, we've already got a contract with the same company that did the city's website to do ours. So that was what we got a proposal last year from them, and we've already implemented that. That's what's gonna have a meeting in a couple
Yeah,
weeks.
that very good.
And get it moving.
Well,
Okay.
it's our first design kickoff. So it'll still take some time. I don't know exactly what that time will be, but it's in progress. So,
Great.
and my understanding is that our URLs should be the same. So it should still be pokwater.com.
Very good. Any new business? I won't be here next month.
Not approved.
Not a lot.
No, you're just gonna zoom in. That's
Yeah.
Right, so Barb will run next month's meeting, right? Our vice chair. She'll be here to run the meeting, right?
Hopefully the city will have a new
Yeah,
member so that we'll have it.
correct.
Yep. Yeah, that could be an issue, so we better be careful and make sure we got it.
Maybe if you could encourage someone down there, maybe.
I thought Joe said he was gonna go on to replace Megan.
That's what I thought too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought he was gonna be here today, but.
Oh, a different Joe?
Joe Donut.
Yes.
So no one
Trying to
from the
make it-
council?
No.
No.
just bring the Pelka back.
Wasn't the mayor?
What Brian's leaving, so I don't know, they've not always had a council person,
I think
But they-
Joe was gonna take over for Brian and then Joe Donut was gonna take over for Megan.
okay.
Is what I thought.
So we'll hopefully they'll make a decision. I did encourage Joe to join because being a city administrator, we've always had that position. And 90% of the time, we've had that position on the board and it makes it helpful because
It's way easier.
money we talk about around here, that person needs to be involved with that.
Yeah.
And to me, they can make the decision. So, but he did not tell me he was going to do it. But maybe, I guess if you say it's.
When I told him that there was an opening, he goes, okay, I'll probably do that. That was, and I thought that. But.
Well, yep.
I'm here. Any other new business?
Just in old business, the IMA is continuing to meet. The IMA working group is continuing to meet, so hopefully coming back with some recommendations soon.
Anything else? Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Beautiful.
All right.
Oh, when next.
Yeah, you got.